Alrighty, so moving on to operations with fractions. Again, we're going to do the same operations. We're going to look at addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and then converting to decimals and percentages. So, starting off with addition and subtraction, key note here, main thing to remember is common denominators. Okay? That's your big thing that you need to remember. So we need to make sure both denominators are the same, and then when you're adding them, you only add the numerators and you ignore the denominator of the fraction. So with this first one here, we've got 7 over 3 plus 4 over 9. So what's the easiest denominator? Well, we can change a 3 into a 9, so that makes that really nice and easy. So if we just times this whole fraction by 3, we end up with 7 times 3 is 21, over 3 times 3, which is 9, plus 4 over 9, okay, which gives us 25 over 9. Okay, now is there anything that goes into 25 and 9? No, because the only thing that goes into 25 is 5, and that doesn't go into 9. So that is the most simplified our fraction can be, unless we wanted to convert it into a mixed number, in which case 9 goes into 25 twice, and that's 18, 2 times 9, and 25 minus 18, that's 7. So then we're left with 7 over 9 as our remainder. Okay. Next one. Now there are a couple of ways. When we have mixed numbers and we want to add and subtract them, there are a couple of ways we can do it. But I want you guys, when you're doing it, to convert everything to an improper fraction first, then do your common denominators and then add it. And the reason for that is because that's what we have to do with multiplication and with division. So just to keep it nice and simple, we're going to do the same thing for everything. So first thing is we're going to convert these to mixed numbers. So to convert this, to convert it to an improper fraction. So to convert this mixed number to an improper fraction, we say 2 times 6 is 12, plus 5 is 17. So our first fraction is 17 over 6. Then our second one is 1 times 4 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So we've got 5 over 4 is our other fraction. Now, what's our smallest number that 6 and 4 both go into? That's 12. So we're going to times this fraction by 2 to make that 6 into a 12, and we're going to times this one by 3 to turn that 4 into a 12. So 17 times 2 is 34 over 12, minus 5 times 3 is 15 over 12. Okay, and then again, our denominator stays the same. So we end up with 12, and 34 minus 15, well, 34 minus 10 is 24, and 24 minus 5 is 19, so 19 over 12. And then we could also simplify this by 12 goes into 19 once, and then there's a remainder of 7 over 12. Alrighty. Now coming down to looking at multiplication, again, there's kind of two strategies that we can use. So the first strategy is that we can just multiply straight away. We multiply the numerators together, we multiply the denominators together, and then we simplify the fraction. The second option is that we can simplify and then multiply. So I'm going to do both for this first one. So if we multiply them together straight away, we get 7 times 5 is 35, and 10 times 2 is 20. Now what goes into 35 and 20? Well, 5 goes into both. 5 goes into 35 7 times, and 5 goes into 24 times, so my fraction is 7 over 4. Okay, the other way of doing it is, see how I have a 10 and a 5 that are diagonal from each other. Now this only works if you're going to cancel either vertically, so in the same fraction, or diagonally from numerator to denominator. Okay, you can't simplify the denominators or the numerators together. Okay, you have to be diagonally simplifying. So 10 goes into 5 twice. Well, 5 goes into 10 twice, I should say. So I'm going to change that 5 to a 1, because 5 goes into 5 once. And I'm going to times that 10 to a 2, because that goes in twice. So I'm left with 7 over 2 times by 1 over 2. Okay, now 7 times 1 is 7, and 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, so there's the two ways we could approach that. Second thing is, we're going to look at a mixed number now. So we're going to convert this mixed number to an improper fraction. So 3 lots of 5 is 15. Again, we times those together. 3 times 5 is 15, plus 1 is 16. So 16 over 5 times by 1 over 6. Now again, I'm going to do my cross simplification because I prefer this method. I find that I end up with much nicer numbers to multiply. So 6 and 16, now they both have a common factor of 2. So 2 goes into 16 8 times, and 2 goes into 6 3 times. So I can simplify those out. So I've taken out a factor of 2 in both of those. Now 8 times 1 is 8, 5 times 3 is 15. Okay, and there's my fraction. All right, division. Now division, again, I want you to remember a couple of steps with division. First thing is we keep our first fraction the same, so 20 over 9. Second thing we do is we change our divide sign into a multiply. So we keep, we change, and then we flip, and we change that to 3/4 instead of 4/3. Okay, now when we're working this out, 20 times 3 gives me 60, and 9 times 4 gives me 36. Now I'm gonna simplify this down at this stage now. I could have done it earlier. I could have cancelled out that 3 and the 9, and actually the 20 and the 4, but I'm going to do this a long way. So now what goes into 60 and into 36? Well, I know that 3 does. I know 3 goes into 60 20 times, and I know 3 goes into 36 12 times. So that gives me 20 over 12. Now I can keep simplifying this down. So 10 goes into, actually no, what's my biggest? 4 goes into both of these. So I'm going to divide 20 by 4 and I get 5. I'm going to divide 12 by 4 and I get 3. Okay, so my answer is 5/3. Okay, or I could write 1 and 2 over 3. Okay, my next one, again, changing it into a mixed number. So 2 times 15 is 30, plus 8 is 38, so I've got 38 over 15. Now I'm going to change this to a multiplication sign, and then I've got 1 and 1 over 10, so that 1 times 10 is 10, plus 1 is 11, so I would have 11 over 10, but I'm going to flip it upside down, so I've got 10 over 11. Okay, now in this case, I'm going to simplify this down diagonally. Again, I could have done it in this one if I wanted to, but I just thought I'd do it the other way. So 10 and 15, they have a common factor of 5. So 5 goes into 15 3 times, 5 goes into 10 2 times, and now I can work this out. So 38 times 2, well, I'm going to do this on my calculator. Okay, that gives me 76, and 3 times 11 is 33. Alrighty, there we go. Now again, I could put that into a mixed number if I wanted to, but I'm not going to worry about it now because we're just going to keep this nice and short. Okay, next one, converting to a decimal percentages. So we're going to do this with 2 kind of levels of difficulty. So the first one is 6 out of 10. So we know that we've got 6 and we're dividing it by 10, so that would be in the 10th position as a decimal. So this, if we've got 6 and we've divided that by 10, which we are doing here, because remembering a division and a fraction are really just the same thing, we're dividing that by 10. That means that we're moving the decimal point back. Here's our 6. We're moving the decimal point back 1 spot. Okay, because we're moving it 1 spot because it's 1/10. Okay, so then our answer would be 0.6. And we ignore that original decimal place that we then had. Okay, then if we want to convert this to a percentage, 0.6 times by 100. Now when you're doing as well, when you're doing fractions into percentages, you should always try and go fraction, then decimal, then percentage. Okay, so you got to do the whole conversion. But then again, the same principle is we take that decimal, we times it by 100. When we times it by 100, we move the decimal point 2 spots. So now we can get rid of these ones at the back there. Oh, still got 6 in there. Okay, and now I'm going to have a 0 here, so I should have 60%. Okay, next one, we're converting 1/8 into a decimal percentage. Now 1/8 is a bit tricky because it actually doesn't really go nicely. You know, you want to have a denominator of 10 or 100 or 1,000, so you put it into a decimal really nicely. So 1/8 doesn't work, but what we can do is we can do a long division to work this out. Because what we're doing here is we're dividing 1 by 8. So 8 goes into 1 0 times. Okay, and we're going to carry that 1 through to make that a 10. Okay, 8 goes into 10 once, and then we have a remainder of 2. So I'm going to put another 0 down and we'll put the 2 of the remainder in. 8 goes into 20 twice. Okay, and we have a remainder of 4, because that's our 16. 8 times 2 gives us 16, and 4 left over to make it up to 20. And then 8 goes into 40 exactly 5 times. So my decimal for 1/8 is 0.125, and that stops now then. Okay, and whenever you're dividing two integers that are less than 10, you can always do a division like this, even if you end up with a recurring decimal, and that will give you a good approximation of what your decimal might be. Okay, you just have to stop it after it keeps recurring for a while. Now again, converting to a percentage, we take our 0.125, we times it by 100, so that decimal point is now going to move. I'll use a different colour this time because I think it's easier. Decimal point's going to move 2 spots. We ignore the 0 and the decimal point at the start, so we're left with 12.5. So our percentage is 12.5%. Okay, there we go. So that's our fraction summary. Hope you enjoyed.